Hey guys, how you doing? Okay, let's do this thing. Okay. Alrighty. We're gonna go over a game from Rubinstein as black. This is I told you I'd do some endgame studies. This is our endgame kind of study thing. We're gonna take it from the opening to actually, what we probably should do. Should we take it from the No, we'll take it from the opening because I've been trying to do it from the end and then going to the beginning. That's the thing we're gonna do. D5, F3, C5. It's the queen's pawn. It's the actually queen's gambit accepted. Guns, burns, generation. Line variation. Knight, C6, E3, Bishop G4, takes. There's a potential idea that I was looking at. This is interesting. If he takes here, then we could play there. If he comes over here, then you can actually take the pawn. And if he takes here, then now we have full development. And what we can do is at this point, potentially, I was thinking of castle kingside. Then when he moves his king, then playing up here. And that was kind of my idea. Bring the rook over, kind of gambit this pawn. If he takes, then you have a weak point here. These 2 points. So kind of an interesting idea that I was looking at. Alrighty. Bishop takes. He retreats back. Now we got a pin here for Rubinstein, and we potentially now have a knight to E5 for Rubinstein. And then what would happen? So what we could do is play here, and if the bishop came back, then what you could do is takes, and then takes there, and you kind of doubled his pawns, and then you provoked a weakness. Bishop b2, knight f3, knight f6. Used to playing as white, the lines. King e7, because he's going up. Castling is not a good idea at this moment. Takes, and now we got another pin. And potentially another attack, and potentially another attack. You know, we have attacks galore. There's our first one. He moves his knight. We take, and e4, which is crushing in my opinion. I think it's a very powerful move. Because now you're planning on going to G4 and take get a piece of this knight here for knight, and then fracture his pawns. King e1, bishop takes. We fractured the pawns. Now we have a weakness here. So, and he's gonna have to retreat. He'll retreat to d6. D6 here. Attack the bishop. The knight goes to e2. Bishop goes to e2. Rook c8. King d2. Knight check. Bishop takes. Rook takes. He blundered with that move. Best is actually f4, because f4 allows for the potential pawn push. You don't want to trade off at this moment, because white has a horrible pawn structure, and the endgame favors Rubinstein. So Erich should not have done that. He basically lost the game, in my opinion, when he did that. This is a losing move, because now you allowed the king to come in, and it's a pawn .1 advantage for this one reason. The structure of these pawns is gonna forever be a weakness. He can Rubinstein can provoke a weakness on these pawns here, and then potentially walk his king over and start gobbling these pawns up. So you have to always take in consideration your endgame plan. And now he's gonna have to come here. Sorry, here, 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 and then now you can start pushing your pawns and make him very passive. So now you're pacifying this. He plays there, which was an error. B5. This is Jeremy Silman calls this move here rather than the king move. Come on, why isn't that working? Right, so here we go. This actually cements the structure. Otherwise, what happens is you get something called Jeremy Silman calls it the deep freeze, because it's one pawn stops two pawns from advancing. This pawn can't move, so now the queen side is neutralized. Black has the ability to go a6, f5. Sorry, and at this point he can potentially get his king around here like this, and then start taking those pawns. So king g1, f5, h1 a blunder. That's kind of his best. Takes, and if he takes there, he's gonna lose a pawn. So you have to remember you gotta have one tempo. So you'd probably want to play there, and then if he plays here, which is an error, you come in. So he's more likely gonna have to bring his king around and just suffer the pawn to be taken. I think it's over after this point here. There's just nothing left. It's all over. Because now he can come back. If he comes there, you gobble, and if he comes here, you just push up g5, and that's crushing. Because these pawns are neutralized, and only move is king here, and then what you can do is, again, you can play h, and then if he comes here, you just push onward if he takes, and then if he, we'll say he moves his king, you can actually play here, 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 and now you get to see the power of the deep freeze, as Jeremy Silman would say. And you're too late to the game. So g5, king g1, h5. Rubinstein's just crushing his opponent. I know that we're not supposed to say that, but you know what? This is just brutality, just so brutal, man. Takes. Now it's his turn to move, and if he goes g1, which he does, g3, pawn takes, and then if he takes here, he takes. And then you have that one tempo you needed. Boom, baby. This one tempo here is the thing that won the game. You gotta love it. Okay, I have another game from Rubinstein as black again. This is a little bit longer of a endgame. A game, it's 80 moves, which I know you guys love the endgame. It's the 4 knight Spanish variation. Hey guys, how you doing? This is the 4 knights. You take there, he takes there, queen takes, and you take. And now, this is what Bobby used to play if he did the 4 knights, because he loved fracturing the white's pawns and making them very inferior into an endgame. So the whole game now is based on getting to a positional endgame where black can win. So he attacks there. Now he locked that down. I guess he could potentially do that, but if he does, then he takes. I don't know. I kind of like that move, and then if he retreats back, then you lock it down, and now you've provoked a weakness there. So positionally, it's okay. Queen takes. I don't know. I'm thinking in this line here, it would have been better for white to have reconnected his pawns. I know it kind of looks ugly at this moment. Yeah, something like that. But really, I just think it's better doing that. It's just my opinion. Don't leave your pawns like this. Your endgame is going to be horrible. Just going towards an endgame. This really isn't a problem, this structure, because it's on the king side. This is what white's going to start, maybe black's going to start using, because the pawn's further away from the opponent. Now the king can actually come in. The rook can't come here, so the king can come in because the bishop guards this spot. So now he's putting pressure. He wants to make sure if that happens that it's undermined. He's also potentially going to play bishop c5, taking advantage of the long diagonal. Oh, wait a second, sorry, I gotta do a different color. There we go, so you guys know that it's black. Rook d7, king d2, a5, a3, and then a4. Now the pawns are starting to be put on the opposite color of this bishop, and his pawns are locked on his opponent's Brickman's pawns. I think it's Alfred. We'll just call him Alfred. Alfred's pawns are locked. The majority of them are still on light squares, but there's still a huge amount of them on dark squares, and it's going to be a long time before that gets handled. He can't play here because of that. So more likely black's going to try to undermine white's rook and get that out and start getting the king involved. So he's got his rook there, and then he kind of toyed with his opponent a little bit. Now he's getting an advantage. He's kind of just playing around a little bit, working it. And then he's just, you see how he's slowly building up. King comes in. He waited till this rook was passive. Now the king's guarding this. And he really doesn't have to worry about the push here. If he pushes there, the rook can come there and take scope on that. It's funny, it was actually very drawish here. That actually leads to a potential draw. He can't go this way, otherwise he goes in. So he has to stay and keep him out of there. So that's kind of why he plays there. Then if he plays back here, you get the one tempo you need. And if he comes over here, and boom. Isn't that interesting? How by allowing this to happen, it looks like the king was trapped because of here, but in reality he had to give way and then it's all over. So king moves, bishop takes, king takes. Now basically this is a one endgame for Rubinstein because his king's more active and he's ready for the attack. One second, I need a drink of water. Okay. I like how the Grandmasters, that was actually a mistake that by allowing that. What he should have played was let me see, if he plays here, he's got there. And then he wins the pawn. So you gotta be careful when you push pawns that you don't lose your advantage. That was an error on his opponent's part. He should have tried something, maybe pawn push, then push, then you come over, and if he comes, he can't come in, so he's got to stay there, and that's basically a draw at this point because there's no way to infiltrate, and his opponent missed a draw by moving the king. It was an error. Let's see if what we're saying is right. Okay, so that's a draw. So king here, pawn push. He goes back here. He pushes. He comes there, and he takes. So okay, I got you. I feel you. You kind of have the breakthrough idea. That's what Rubinstein set up. And that one move that he needs. He actually could win this way too. There's the same idea that we talked about here. That's winnable as well. So there's really no hope. It's kind of a little bit sick, this, I think. Oh, I see. My bad, I gotta remember that. 8 and 15. So now we'll work on our puzzles, guys. And oops, I gotta move this so you guys can see a little bit better. Let's see. There we go. Okay, I'll let you guys look at the puzzle real quick while I'll just be right back. Okay, dokie, we'll look at this game. Let's see here. I think the answer to the puzzle is bishop b7. Let's see. See, I think you're right with that, Chris. Because that actually, if he takes here, he takes there. Well, maybe he can deal with it with that. Huh. I think I am missing something here. Because if we go here, he takes there, we take here. Yeah, yes, we have an attack here and here, but he can play it there, so I'm not sure if that's 100% what we want to do. Yeah, I don't think we can actually do that line. You just have to be patient and see if there's any way that we can I think you're right, Fox. I guess it could work. Yeah. I think it might work now that we think about it. Yeah, I think your idea. I think the idea does work. I forgot that it's defended by the knight. Yeah, it does work. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. So here, 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 takes, takes, and then knight takes, and we're up a whole exchange at that point. Yeah, that is right. Yeah. But let's see if does he have anything else over here. Let's take a look at this knight move over here, because there's one more knight move. I just want to take a look to see if there's any threats with that knight move. It might potentially be the same. No, I think it still works. I think you're right on this one. Okay, that's a whole different move there. What the heck's that move? I did not even look at that one. What are we missing? What are we missing here? I know, but I'm just trying to see that there has to be a. Why did he play that? Yeah, I guess that potentially would be after takes here, right there. Hmm. Yeah, I think you're right on that. Then we'd have to come back here attacking his knight, and then the knight would take that pawn. Hmm. Yeah, I think we're okay, yeah. We can't come back here, because if we come all the way back here, he could take there with a fork. So the only move that we can play is right here. This is the only move we can play. Because anything else, that loses. This move loses here to that. This move, I guess we could. Nope, that move gets taken there. So this is the only forcing line. Yeah, so that's okay. We were gonna check Fox's line out. And he's actually up a whole pawn here. This is the reason that it doesn't work. Is he? Our bishops, I mean our queen's under attack here, so we need to. If he plays here, he can actually take there, and at this point we take. He takes. Rook comes. Rook takes, and he just comes over here, and he's got an attack there. Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah, very sneaky. Okay, we'll take a look at that one game, Fox. Where's that game? Oh, there it is. And then we'll continue on with more puzzles. Onward and upward. I told you guys I would get some endgames in there. We did some endgame study, so I'm trying to get bring a little bit more in since we're up to 2600, which means our perception of seeing things is much higher. We need to incorporate more learning into our lesson, which is why I'm going to start bringing more end games in, and games that have important end games into the our lessons. Black. Yeah, Rubinstein was a genius when it came to endgame. He was very similar to, in my opinion, Capablanca. In his endgame style. He just loved to crush you. They like some grandmasters like to boa constrict you and then just force you to basically suffocate from having no space. And Capablanca, I loved. He would just go for the KO. Sometimes they did cat and mouse, which I don't really approve of. I think you should just take your. I think you should just win. If you're gonna win, just destroy and move on. Checkmate and move on. Because if you start, you want to turn off the engine, yeah. If you start doing cat and mouse, you might make a mistake, and then your opponent can turn the tide and get a draw. That's actually what happened with the Summer Classic. Akobian faced Yarrow, and what happened is he got low in time, so time management's huge. He had an advantage, and he just didn't have enough time to think everything through, and it ended up costing him the game. And now he's behind by half a point. Dragoon is ahead by half a point in the A division of the Summer Open, or Summer game. I forgot the name of what it's called, but there's some really good players in there, like Alejandro is in there. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's playing in the B division, and he was able to. He was like really, really losing in the end game. His opponent blundered with a queen move to here. It was protected by a pawn, but he was able to take back, and it neutralized the attack by giving up the queen, and not the queen. I'm sorry, a piece, and it ended up with a perpetual check. He was very, very blessed. I gotta say, that was such a winning sequence. I thought for sure that Alejandro. I think that's it. I think I'm. Oh, God. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. But I think his. I'm sorry if I'm not. If he's on or anything. I don't mean to pronounce his name incorrectly. So that's a player that's in there, and boy, some of those games, guys, yesterday, intense. It was like they had their opponents in a vice and they were just squeezing, but for some reason they made a couple inaccurate moves and it turned the game, and it was a draw. It was sad. Some of those combinations that Kip Peter pointed out were beautiful. But we have to remember, we're not computers, so we do make mistakes, and so you can't blame them. They got into time trouble, and if you're not good in time trouble and you get nervous, your nerves kick in and you make inaccurate moves that end up in a draw. Okay, so we have the London system for white. You gotta love it. So even back in 1908, they played the London system, guys. So it's a classic opening. So that's why I play it. I gotta work on more of the patterns, because there's certain patterns, like when this structure is set up, he plays here, knight there, a bishop comes out. If he plays up here and his bishop here, the bishop comes there instead of out here, and so you have to make sure. And then you also have to make, on some lines you go h3 and then bishop back to h2 to keep your dark square bishop. Some lines we have Harry, so there's a whole bunch of different lines. And if you're more positional, castles is an idea too in the London. Queen b6. This is actually the main move sequence for black, is to provoke that. There's also a trick that we'll probably go over later on with a bishop here when the queen's here after it moves. So you just got to be careful. Move sequences could end up in a pretty powerful attack for your opponent. That's kind of weird. Usually they play, but I think the reason is here you can actually take there, there, and then here. And this is kind of a vice that it's put under. So see, the London system was still kind of new during the time 1908. Think about it. It was just the beginning of that opening. We're in like 2018, so it's been over 110 years that the London system has been analyzed, calculated through computers to be a more effective attacking and positional. I don't know when the London system came out, but probably during this time it was pretty new. Isn't it funny that in 1908 the London system was new? Now we call it old because it's over 100 years old. So this is a line you really don't want to play. This is actually the best line, even though he can play here. Yeah. Exactly, I agree with you. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if that was actually a game that was France faced England. The grandmasters from both sides actually played. If I'm mistaken, I'm okay to be corrected because I'm willing to learn a little history. And England won with this opening here, and so they named it after England. That's kind of that's how it got the England opening. Or sorry, not England, London. So they even had, chess masters versus the world. Even back then, that was funny. Knight bd2. Very interesting play. Bishop e7. It's very slow there. He's not taking. He's not pushing. Black wants to leave all options open. The queen is charging ahead, keeping an eye on this pawn. So a rook would have to basically go to b1 to free this queen up. Or potentially you have b3. That's an idea. And then at the right moment, maybe the knight can go to a5 and then potentially c4. You never know. There's tons of different breaks. But this is a move you really don't want to do because it's not very fun. And you have to move back and you have to waste a move. Exactly. And the whole idea is black's provoking. He knows eventually that this file is going to open up because of taking here. This file is going to open up and this rook's going to have a scope. Even if it's only on a half open file, the file is still open for black. So if you know that a file is going to open up even if it's a half open file, put your rook there so that you dominate that. Just remember that rooks love open files. You guys already know that, I know. But that's a Jeremy Silman principle. Knight takes, pawn takes. This is also a London idea, making the knight move so that there's an attack. But white doesn't have enough. He doesn't have the knight here to be able to go there. And this bishop guards this point. So really there's no Greek gift at this moment. It's not strong enough yet. Queen h5 is played, and then this is the kind of move they like to toss in, because if you take here, You take here, the knight takes back, and black has basically freed up his position, and now the queen's under fire, and the queen has to move, and no more threat on h6. I'm sorry, h7. So that's why he doesn't do that. But this now locks down the king side. Yes, there's potentially some threats. Now at the right point, g7, g6 could be played, knight to g7, and then he can bring his bishop back potentially, and then start his own kingside attack. So you just got to be on guard that there's no counter thrusts. And this actually is a really good move in my opinion, getting rid of this light square bishop, because if the light square bishop ever did take, now white has a horrible bishop. It's active, but still a bad bishop. So now the queen's eyeing this pawn here, sorry, here, and potentially there. Yeah, I love it. Kapow. Bishop d3. That was our idea to begin with. Queen's now eyeing that, so that pawn will eventually fall. He's going to have to either push or go knight b3. Knight b3 is not the best move because of c4. That was actually a... Oh wow, he didn't play c4? Why not c4? Why not c4? I like c4. That's just crushing. He can take here, I guess. I like that though. If rook takes, now you're attacking the queen, and this knight's actually trapped. So then the rook takes, and you're up a whole piece. So I don't know why he didn't play. I kind of see why he doesn't want to give up the d4 square, but I don't know. Sometimes you have to give a little bit to get a lot. But the grandmasters know when to give, and now that the king side is locked down for Rubinstein, he can play on the queen side. Now if this bishop ever trades itself out for this, now the open file comes into its ultimate power, and if it plays here, you can actually play there, and if takes here, here, and you control the open file. The knight's under fire potentially with a4, so true. That's they were thinking about adding a whole new category for like Fabi and those guys, super grandmasters, or elite grandmasters or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a killer move. He's trying to undermine this structure. If he takes here, takes here, takes here, and then you can push and you win the bishop. That is funny. I like that. That is interesting. That's a funny statement. I love it, Chris. That is funny. So now Rubinstein's up a whole piece. He's strangling his opponents. now there's a double attack here. Sorry, I gotta do blue because that's the color we have for black, the black pieces. And he's gonna have to bring his king up to g2, which now it's in a pin. And potentially, let's see, how can we take advantage of that? We really can't. So now it's time to trade off. There's actually a book, Joel Benjamin. I haven't read it, but I heard about it. It's called Liquidation on the Chessboard. So I'm not sure if it's good or not, but he talks about, from what I've heard, the right time to liquidate down. There's actually times in chess when it's profitable to liquidate down, and sometimes when it's not. So you have to know when the right time to do that is. Oh, ouch, that's not good. So he's going to have to play c5, lock this down. Oh, that is sweet. If he takes here, let me see, what would be the move sequence that we're looking at? Let's see, I want to see what happens. Oops, I want to see what happens if he takes. I'm just going to turn on the engine real quick. Okay, so, boy, it's a draw. So it likes the queen move. I like that queen move too. The rook has to move there, and then you play there. He takes here. Wow, that is crunch. I don't know if the queen has a spot to escape to. Yeah, I think it's trapped. Drat, I'm surprised Rubinstein didn't see that trapping. And you can actually sometimes, because you're up a whole piece, you can sacrifice it for position too. So don't think you have to hold it. If you remember, chess is about KOing your opponent. Let's see if he plays here. Let's see, he can't play over there. Well, I guess he could because of that. He'd get mated. Well, it wouldn't be mate. Now it's mate. So if he plays here, what am I missing here? I guess potentially you have that, because then the knight guard's there, and you have a. So if he plays here, you play there. Yeah, I guess that's right. That's an interesting game for sure. Perfect. Perfect. So black's from black side of the board. The Sicilian, you gotta love it. Remember though, that's a weakness too, so you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful of the poison pawn. Oh, so I was right in that line. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, white still has an advantage. That was a mistake. This is actually best. And it's better for black, I mean white in that variation. I can't believe he didn't play that. That's like just a standard move. Then you have bishop b4, and it's like, ouch, you're going down in flames. So let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, now the bishop's under fire. Wow. Remember, this is about tearing the king apart. And if queen takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and black's in a big time pickle here. Potentially you're getting checkmated if you're not careful. He checks, king moves. Again, I don't know why they don't play that. That's like, black's a little too far in. Guess he has to attack the queen, kind of give the pawn back. Even Khrushchev blunder here. Maybe not a blunder, but an inaccurate move. Because if that's played, what happens if he takes there? I just want to see. Is that it? Oh, it's that rook. Yeah, and it's basically toast. I don't know why they just keep missing these. The whole goal is to protect the king and attack at the same time, and that's a perfect move for that. Now we're going for a checkmate right there. That's a checkmate. B3. So like if he does some silent move, like I guess maybe that is. I guess you kind of want to do that because now Khrushchev's rook and a pawn up, so. And his opponent resigned here. Not surprised. This is a lost position. Let's see what I want to see what the continuation end is. Okay, you got a pin there. Now we're trying to go after that pawn. But yeah, I agree with you, Fox, on that. And so Snap, man. That's like total pain and more pain. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? That is true. In this line here, if your king's in the open, they don't really want to trade. But sometimes, because white's still vulnerable as well. Yeah. Grooschest's not going to get tricked, except Fabi did play a really good game against him in the Candies tournament, so that was a cool game. We all have our days that aren't the shining light, as we could say. So, oops. I'll leave this puzzle with you guys. I'll be right back. Let's see here. I don't remember the date about the World Championship, but I know it's, I think, I'm not really sure, so I'll have to check on that. You can you can see if you go chess 2,700, you can actually see the live ratings too as well. There's a live rating panel you can see, and it shows all the tournaments that are coming. Hey Economy, how you doing? Okay. You gotta love the squid doing the wave. I think that is right. I think this is actually the move, because the other one is only, I think it's a draw at that point. I don't think we get really any counterplay unless we go up, unless we go to rook d4. I think that's the only move. Let's see, is there any move sequence he can do? Don't really see any move sequences that he can challenge us with. Let's see, anything? Can he hold his knight? Is there any move that we... I don't really see anything. I think if we go there, he plays here. Or sorry, here. When we take there, he'll play there and cement his bishop, but we're still up material at that point. Yeah, that is right. I think we win. And let me make sure that I'm not overlooking anything. I think that's his only move, and then we get our pawn rolling up the board. Yeah. Yeah, one point. Hey, I'll take it. We'll take it. That is true. So if we play queen there, that's a pin. But then he has that there to cement it. Ba-dum bum. Dum dum. Excuse me there. Let me see here. I think you're right, economy, with knight here, because that's, yeah, I think that is best because that's the most forcing line. It guards here and attacks the queen there. And then if rook takes here, this rook takes back. And even if the queen comes over here to here, our rook could just take at that point. Yeah. Let's see here. So you guys are thinking there, and we take with check. So here, if here we take, if here we take, oh, I gotta remember we're white, so we get green. Huh. Maybe that is, huh? Okay, so here, here, F5. I think we could just play our queen to, what am I doing? To F4 at that point. I really don't see, he can't do F6 at this point. Because he's in check. I'm liking actually knight e5 more and more. But I do see what you're saying. That's okay. And what he's going to play at this point is, after we play here, he'll play rook takes knight. Then we'll play rook takes knight, rook takes rook. And we should be good there. Otherwise, we play rook here, rook takes, queen here, sorry, queen there. Then we take here, and then you have h5 or f5. Not sure. I do like the knight for one reason. If we play here, takes, he could intercept. Well, maybe I guess he can intercept there. Hmm. I'm thinking the most forcing line. I think this is too passive here. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. And we can actually check at this point here. Queen, you have to be careful not to take here because of, oops, you gotta be careful. You don't want to take here because of that. And then we take here, knight takes, and we're equal material. So we have to play check. And then we win the queen and we win a rook. I believe that's the move. Let me see. Is there any counter to that? I guess he could move back. And then we take anyways with check. And then his king moves, and then we can win the queen. And then when rook takes, we takes, and we're up in exchange. So we're up in exchange either way. Yeah, I think that is the move. Wow. We can't really take at this moment because he's got a check. Well, maybe we can. No. Yeah. No. He's got this here though. Oh, true, we get our knight out. That is an interesting. I like that idea. Yeah, if we play here, then he takes here. We move our king up, and he has to move his rook back, and then we bring our knight back. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because if he plays here, we just bring our king up, and he's done for. Yeah, it's really interesting. That was an interesting one. Oh, wait a second. Let's go back. Let's see why the rook one isn't the move. Yeah, that is interesting. It depends. That's a pretty interesting line too. I like that line as well. It's just the other one was more forcing. And I think we win a queen in the line we did, but we'd be up we'd be up a rook and he'd have a knight. But I think it's that is interesting. He has actually a knight and a rook for a queen, so that's a puzzling one for sure. Let's see here. Wow, there's a tactic that soon in the position. That's pretty darn toot and impressive. I think, do we win a, I don't know if we win a pawn with there, 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 there. No, we don't. Because the queen's under attack at that point. Trying to see if there's anything else there. We did have another proposal, so let's just take a look at that. Knight here. Oh, sorry. I don't really see any continuation after that, Ted. It's not that it's not a good move, and potentially maybe he'll even let's say that we do play. Well, no, we don't even have a queen check here, so I'm kind of thinking that potentially this move here, he might play there, and then we take with the queen. Yeah. We really can't take here. So potentially it may be a move to F8, King F8. Yeah, otherwise we have equal position at the end, and it's really bad for us. Let's see. I don't think it does fail. I think it's the only, well, no. Because we don't even, after we take here, we don't even have the ability to block for that. Because this is check. If we take there, and he's double attacking the bishop. Yeah. Because this loses a bishop here. It's actually better for, then we go back, and then he can actually, at this point, I believe, win there. And he's actually up a whole pawn in that line. Let's continue onward, and we're doing good, guys. Oh, you want to check that line out? Okay. That e4 is not the best. Let's see, what is the best? Okay, check here. I think we could just move at that point, and we're fine. I think it's like what you're saying, Chris. I think it's only going to work out on a certain level. That's not a bad idea, Fox. It's just we want to keep our peace and make our opponent not be happy through the entire game. You did great. That was actually not a bad line. And it's just like it's like you're making your opponent feel bad. It's like, oh no, no, it's about victory. So you gotta remember that. You gotta continue to keep pushing onward. Okay, let's see, what have we got here? Let's see if we take here, queen takes, rook over, queen takes, rook takes check, the king comes up, so nothing there. That's a nothing line. Interesting for sure. Snap. I was thinking about something like this here, but I don't think that works. Snap. I was even looking at that, that, and then that takes. But I don't think we get anything after that. No, we don't get any advantage. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll let you guys work this out for a little bit. So I'll be right back. Yeah, that is interesting. Let's see. Let's take a look at that line. I believe you guys are right on that. Let's see. So you think C2 rotates. No, I'm just to check Chris's line out real quick, then I'll check yours. Let's see here. There. Hold on. Queen is there. Oops, sorry. Rook takes. Queen here. Rook slides over. And yeah, then our opponent is sad. So we'll take a look at. I'm probably sure that that's the move. It doesn't work at the end. Let's give this a go. Oh no. Should have looked at that. My bad. Okay, that was my bad. Drat. Let's see here. Okay, knight d there. So bishop takes. So he takes d. Queen e4. Rook takes rook. Queen takes. Queen takes. Rook takes. We'll give it one. We'll do one more, and then I gotta log. That's okay. Hey, you know what? We'll get it back. Don't worry. Don't worry. We just gotta keep getting them right. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, D2. I agree with you on that one. Yeah. Yep. Oh, let's take a look to see why G6 doesn't work. Let's see, why does that not work? Ah, snap. And he's got the pass pawn. Drat. Yeah. Okay, we gotta refocus down, get our minds right. Let's see here. Let's see here. What's the idea? Okay, Doki. Okay, he took the pawn. I mean, it's actually g6, bishop g6, and king f8. I think that's. I think I know what you mean, Fox. Is there anything else that we're missing here? Okay, if we play here, are we missing anything? Are we missing anything? I don't think so. Yeah. Let's see here. I think you're right. Yeah. Now let's make sure that we're not missing anything here. Let's see here. If he takes here, we actually take with the rook. And then when the rook takes, there's only one way to take, and it's that way. Yeah, we'll call her a day here. I think if he was to take here, oh, you take, wait, you take, yeah, you take with the bishop in that line, then he retreats out. Then you take the bishop there, king takes, and then king up, and you should be operation go. But it's a little different. If he takes here, you actually take with the rook, and then rook takes, and then bishop takes, and you're up a whole rook in that line. Yeah. Well, do you guys have any other lines you want to look at on here? That is funny. 90% of the time it's poison. Hey, it should tell you. That actually happened. I gotta say, it was a sad thing. It happened to Lenderman against Fabi. I think it was in game 2, the US Championship. He did take a pawn, and it was a poison pawn, and it costed him the game. So, it did happen. Okay. Any more questions, guys, that you want to look at? But after like this or anything? Are you guys good? Any more questions, Fox or Chris or Economy? Do you guys have any more questions, or are you all good? Okay. How about you, Fox? Are you good? No, okay. Then, okay. Everything's good then? Alright. Hey, do you know what? 27 points. It was worth finding it. Man, we're on a roll. We're on upward and forward. It's a slow process, slow grind, but guess what? We're going to do it. Okay? And remember, it's all about learning. You have to always remember that to learn from your mistakes, and that's what we did. Get better. Remember, there's always a plan in the position. Just got to find it. Sometimes take your time, double check, triple check, and then you'll be able to make the right decision. And sometimes, even if you double check, triple check, make sure that even if there's a move that you're thinking could be dismissed, check that move out, because that may be the move that is the winning move. So remember, always keep moving forward. You know what? Don't let the past keep you down. We all have to remember that. That's one thing that we can't let down. That's not what the Lord wants us to do. So we gotta keep moving forward. Well, guys, with that, I will leave you with, as Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus. As I say, God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and I'll be back on, Lord willing, tomorrow. So have a blessed day, have a blessing, and keep studying chess, guys. Bye bye.